Good morning. I'm filming this video bright and early, but for today's video I wanted to do an update on all of the Makeup by Mario products that I have. I've had all these products for about 2 months now, so I got a good feel for them and I know if I like them, if I'm going to repurchase them or not. So if that sounds like something that you're interested in, then keep on watching. I'm just going to clip my hair back a little bit here. Okay, so I just did my skincare not that long ago. I'm trying out some new skincare from Fenty and I've been loving it. This is how my skin is looking. I've had this on for about an hour now and my skin still looks so hydrated. I already have my brows done. I just used my normal products that I always use, NYX brow pen and also the Oma Beauty 2-in-1 brow styler. I love that. Starting off with Makeup by Mario's eye primer kit. Now this one is in the shade light. It does come in 3 different shades. I love this eye primer kit. I love that it has 2 different shades. I mixed the 2 shades to blend out on the lid. This is a very thick cream, so it's not real creamy. It's definitely a thicker, like balm feeling texture, but I love that. I think that if you have oily lids, that this will work great for oily lids. Honestly, I put this on and then I love that it comes with a powder to set with. Once you set it, it really doesn't crease. Like the only eyeshadow primer I've ever had not to crease even after setting it. Like usually my eye primers or concealers or whatever I've used to prime the eyelid with still creases. This does not. So I just like to go in and set it down right after I blend it out with a brush. This is definitely an item that I'm going to repurchase because I just love it so much. I love that it gives you a little bit of coverage, but yeah, this eyeshadow primer definitely makes your eyeshadows last as well. Okay, so moving into eyeshadows, I have his newest limited edition. This is the Ethereal Eyes Moonlight palette. This is my favorite palette. If you haven't gotten this palette, I would definitely recommend. It's so worth it. I also have the Master Metallics palette. This is the palette that I use the least amount, but it is still really pretty. It has some really pretty shimmers in here. And then this is the Master Mattes, the neutral. I don't have his original. As soon as it goes on sale, I'm definitely getting it because I think that his eyeshadows are phenomenal. They work so well. I use this palette probably the most. Will definitely repurchase this because I simply pair it with so many other palettes. I get a ton of use out of it. I am going to be using all 3 eyeshadow palettes today, but I think I'm going to start with this shade here. This is out of the Neutrals palette. I'm just going to start putting that in the crease and working it up to the brow. Super blendable, pigmented, but also not too pigmented to where it gets out of hand and you can't blend it out. His shadows are definitely very workable and I love that. Sometimes when you have eyeshadows that are too pigmented, it's really a pain to work with them because it's hard to get them blended out, but these blend out, build up, whatever you need. So I love that about his formula. Okay, switching over to the Moonlight palette. So I'm just going to go into that darkest brown shade and I'm just going to start packing that all over the lid. Same thing for this side, just packing it all over the lid. And I will just start working that brush into the crease back and forth, windshield wiper motions. Just going back in with that very first brush and blending out. Switching over to the Master Metallics palette. I'm going to do this like gold yellowish shade here. And I'm just going to start putting that in the center of this brown. Ooh, that's pretty. I haven't used this shade yet. Same thing for this side. These are super smooth on the lid, very easy to work with, super soft and natural. Bringing that light shade all the way up past the crease. Just because I have hooded eyes, I have to bring the colors up higher or you can't see them. Just gonna keep building the shade up and bringing it on up. Okay, so just going back in with that dark brown brush and tapping over these edges a little just to kind of blend everything together. Going back in and adding a little bit more of that light shade. Then I'm going to switch over to the Moonlight palette and I'm going to go in, I think, with this golden sparkly shade. And I'm just going to put that right in the center, right over top that light shade, just to add a little sparkle to it. I love the sparkle out of this eyeshadow palette. It is just beautiful. Then I'm going to pick up a little bit of that brown shade and just buff out these edges. Same thing for this side, just buffing out slightly. Going back in with that very first brush and just blending everything out so we don't have any harsh lines. And then to highlight the brow bone, I'm going to go in, I think, with this cream shade. And just highlight that brow bone. Such a pretty shade. Going back in with that very first brush and just blending out. Now I'm going to go in with a little bit of his eyeliner. I love this eyeliner. I use it all the time and I will definitely be repurchasing this. I really want to get the brown one. I just haven't gotten it yet. Go ahead and clean up with a makeup wipe. Okay, so let's go ahead and move into skin. I'm going to be using this No Pore Blim Primer. This is from Touch in Soul. I think that Makeup by Mario's foundation works so well with a poreless primer. That's why I wanted to use it today, because honestly his foundation is so hydrating that you really don't need a hydrating primer. And I have dry skin. Usually for me, I need something that's hydrating. This foundation's really good if you have dry skin. So I like to go in and just add a few pumps right onto the skin, and I love to blend it out with a brush. I do not like to use this foundation with a sponge. I don't think that it applies very well with a sponge. This has a medium coverage to it, so when you use a sponge, I feel like it absorbs your product too much and doesn't give you enough coverage. Obviously, I have a lot of redness in my face, so I need some type of coverage. A light coverage foundation just doesn't do it for me. I didn't used to like medium coverage foundations. I've been really loving to use these skin-like foundations. And honestly, from what I've noticed, any type of skin-like foundation always has like a medium coverage. Also, I kind of feel like the more this foundation sits on your skin, the better it looks. So hydrating. The only time I've ever had a problem with this foundation was when I first used it. I used my skincare right under it and also a hydrating primer, and it didn't mix well. I had a bunch of creasing throughout the day. I think again because I over moisturize, because this is a very hydrating foundation itself. You don't need a ton of moisturizer under it, which is really nice. But yeah, that's what it's looking like. I think that it looks really beautiful. You can still see a little bit of my redness coming through. Overall, it's really not that bad though. And by the time I get all of my other products layered on top, you really can't see my redness. But you can always build this up. So sometimes I do like just to do a couple little extra dots on the cheek area and just lightly blend it out, because I want that coverage just to cover up that redness, and I think it does a beautiful job at that. But yeah, absolutely would repurchase this. Like I said, the more I use it, the more I love this foundation. It really has become like a staple in my rotation. Like I know when I put this on, if I'm going out somewhere, it's gonna wear beautifully throughout the day. So going in with cream bronzer. I love this cream bronzer. I have already purchased the big size, and I will just blend it out with my brush. It blends into your skin in like 2 seconds. It takes no effort to blend out this bronzer. I love it. It goes very well with contour that I like to use. It's a very natural bronzer. Okay, so going in with the little blush, this one is in the shade Sweet Pink. It's a really pretty color of blush. I'm just going to add it directly onto the skin. I'm just going to show you too. I've used blush, I don't know, 5 or 6 times. Honestly, it's not one that I really reach for, so I don't think that I would repurchase the cream blush. But I've used the bronzer way more, and as you can see, like, I still have quite a bit of product in the bronzer. This bronzer does last you quite a while, so I love that. And I will just blend this out with a brush. Again, it's a really pretty color. The formula is really nice on this as well. It's not a bad blush or formula, but it's just not one that I really reach for to use. It looks good though, melts right into the skin. I just have other cream blushes that I prefer personally. Going in with concealer. I do like this concealer. Super easy to blend. I mean, it blends in 2 seconds. Just using my foundation brush to blend it out, and I mean, it literally just blends so nicely. Melts right into the skin. Medium coverage on this for sure. It's a good concealer to highlight the face with. I do like it for that. Just gonna use a smaller brush to blend out under the eye. It's super thin, which I like because it doesn't tend to settle and sit into my fine lines as much as a thicker, more full coverage concealer tends to do. This one reminds me a lot of the LYS concealer. It has that same thin consistency. A lot of concealers that are thin tend to be not as much coverage. I feel like this gives you a decent amount of coverage though. Just run over it with my foundation brush. Go back in with the blush brush just to kind of marry the two together so there's no harsh line there. But this is a concealer that I use pretty often in my routine. I think it pairs very well with the foundation, and I would definitely repurchase it. Let's go ahead with setting powder. I've said this a ton. This is definitely a beautiful setting powder. I love this setting powder. I will definitely be repurchasing this. It really reminds me of the Givenchy powder, the original Givenchy powder, not the reformulated one. But I mean, it just sets everything down. You look nice and smooth. There's no crepiness to this powder, which I love. A lot of times powders, when you put them on, they can give you that like little crepiness under your eye. This powder does not do that. That's why I love the Givenchy one so much, the original formula, because it didn't make you have that like crepey kind of dryness under your eye. And that can tend to happen when you go in like too heavy-handed with the powders. But this one, I feel like I can go in heavy-handed because I am a heavy-handed person. When I apply products, I go in pretty heavy-handed with them. So I need products that are kind of forgiving, and Makeup by Mario products are definitely forgiving products in my opinion. I don't feel like his bronzers are too overly bronze, or I don't feel like his eyeshadows are too intense off the get-go. You can build them up to the intensity that you want them. Same thing with the foundation. You can build this up. It is a medium coverage, but again, it's still buildable, so you can kind of achieve the look that you're wanting to achieve while still looking like your skin. Makeup by Mario powder bronzer. Again, I would repurchase this because I think it looks super smooth, super natural, and I'm dipping in here like I normally would. I'm not using any lighter pressure with this, so I love that. I also love how he names all of his products: light, light medium, medium, tan. I just feel like for me personally, that is so helpful. But yeah, I just feel like that warms the skin up. It looks beautiful, natural. It doesn't look muddy. It's not looking cakey. It's just really pretty. For powdered blush, I don't have one of his, so I'm just going to use this one from Too Faced. This is the Cloud Crush in Velvet Crush. I just think it matches his shade really nicely, so that's why I went with this one. For the lower lash line, I'm going into that brown shade that I used in the crease, and I'm just going to buff that out underneath the lash line. For the inner corner, I'm going to be using that same cream shade that I used on the brow bone. Yes, that's so pretty. Then I will go back in with that brown brush and kind of just tap over so we have a nice kind of blend. I'm gonna curl my lashes really quick. For mascara, I'm just using the Maybelline Lash Sensational Mascara. Also just going to use a little bit of my Oma Beauty 2-in-1 Brow Styler Gel. For lips, I'm going in with this little duo. The lip pencil is in shade Smoky Pink. I would repurchase the lip pencil, but not in the shade. You know me, I love a good dark brown lip liner. And then for the lipstick, this is the shade Erin, which matches the lip liner so well. Really do love the formula of this lipstick. It feels like velvet on your lips. It feels really good. It's not drying for a matte lipstick. But of course you know me and I have to go in with a brown lip liner. This one's from MAC in the shade Stone. Yeah, I just do it like that better. It's more me. And then last but not least, I'm going in with the Makeup by Mario setting spray. I love everything about the setting spray. I love the mister. It also really does lock everything in and your makeup will not move. Okay, you guys, so this is the completed look using all of my Makeup by Mario products. I always love how my makeup looks every time I use these products. Definitely worth it. I honestly think the quality of his products is so good and I just love how my makeup turns out every time I use these products. So if you've been thinking about picking up any of his products, I hope this video helps you. Of course, I'm going to have everything listed down in the description box that I used in today's video. But as always, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me and I will see you in my next video. Bye!